Somebody who's a big milk consumer can get about 200 times more dioxin from the milk that's produced near an incinerator than they can from breathing the air. Or to make it very precise, 1 liter or 1 quart of cow's milk would give you the same amount of dioxin as somebody who would get who stood next to the cow and breathed the air for 8 months. So 1 quart of cow's milk gives you 8 months of breathing the same air that the cow is breathing, but the cow, of course, is grazing over this grass. So the cow is capturing a lot of dioxin that's falling from the air onto the grass, and then the cow nibbles away at the grass all day long, about 60 square meters. And a German has since done, or a German study has since calculated how much dioxin a cow puts into its body. The cow is essentially cleaning up about 100,000 cubic meters of air each day. 100,000 cubic meters of air is dropping its dioxin from the air onto the grass. Well, let's do a little calculation. The average adult breathes about 20 cubic meters of air. Divide 20 into 100,000. That's 5,000 days of human breathing. 5,000 days is about 14 years. So in one day, a cow is putting into its body as much dioxin as you would put into yours if you stood in that field and just simply breathed the air for 14 years. In one day. So these cows are magnificent collectors of dioxin. And once it's into their body, protectors of dioxin. Because it's not broken down by ultraviolet light if it's in their fat. And thirdly, wonderful deliverers of dioxin to us in a variety of forms: cheese, milk, butter, yogurt, ice cream, and so on. And so this is why it is extremely serious to even think about building an incinerator near farmland, because that dioxin is going to fall out onto the grass and the cows are going to concentrate it for you. Or if it falls into water, the fish are going to concentrate it for you. Or if it falls onto dirt, chickens are going to concentrate it for you, and pigs that eat a lot of dirt when they're scavenging around for food. That stack going on, 100 meters, 150 meters, I see this huge stack and say, oh, dilution! The stuff is going to go out from that stack, and it's going to go, by the time it gets to me, it's going to be so dilute, it's not going to hurt me. And if you're talking about breathing, you're absolutely right. But if you're talking about the food chains, you're absolutely wrong. Because nature reconcentrates dioxins and furans, and another problematic material is mercury. It reconcentrates. Fish are extremely good at concentrating mercury. Well, when I presented this paper in Japan, Fukuoka, Japan, in 1986, it created very little effect. Not many people took it seriously. But a few years later, in 1989 to be precise, the Dutch government announced that the levels of dioxin near an incinerator in Rotterdam had 3 times the level of dioxin in this cow's milk than any other cow's milk in the Netherlands. The highest in the Netherlands was about 4 parts per trillion. But near this incinerator, they were getting 12 parts per trillion in the milk fat. Now, the government did not shut down the incinerator when they found this out. Instead, they told 16 dairy farmers that they mustn't sell their milk or their cheese. Milk up to 15 parts per trillion near incinerators in Lille. And that resulted in closing. The French, at least, closed down the 3 incinerators. Now I want to put that 15 parts per trillion and that 12 parts per trillion into the context of regulations and goals. In Germany and France now, you cannot sell cow's milk above 5 parts per trillion in the milk fat. And make sure that you limit the amount of dioxin that you give to your baby. Bit of a problem, because most of the dioxin goes in during pregnancy, but even so, the Germans are pretty fussy people. And this is what some of the doctors said. One pediatrician said to me, I should never forget this. She said to me, she said, Paul, she says, when you tell a woman to limit her breastfeeding, you're looking at the beginning of the end of mankind. When you got to the point that you threaten the most basic human activity. more basic than a mother suckling her own young. It's something pretty basic. We're told that Dr. Connett is talking about the old incinerators. And indeed, the old incinerators were a huge problem. Let me show you how big it was, that between approximately 1 gram of dioxins went into the animal feedstuff. 1 gram. And that caused $3 billion worth of damage to the Belgian economy. Now, I think it's important at this point to establish that the threat to agriculture is twofold, unfortunately. One, it's the reality. In other words, what level of dioxin in cow's milk will cause a human health problem? We don't exactly know. That's the reality problem. We don't quite know how serious this is. The second thing is perception. What does the public do when they hear about the dioxin problem? What do they say? Where is the dioxin coming from? The dioxin, over 90% of the dioxin that you're getting is coming from your food. Oh, where can I get food which doesn't have much dioxin in it? Ireland. You can get food with very little dioxin if you go to Ireland. Where does the dioxin come from? It comes from incinerators. Oh, well, don't buy any food near incinerators. Who makes that decision? Is that decision made by farmers? No, they can't make that decision. Who's it made by? It's made by the purchasing agents for Tesco, Sainsbury's, Marks and Spencer's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. They are the people that rule agriculture. You're farmers. Many of you are farmers. You know that what I'm telling you is true. It's the middlemen who make this decision. And do they do it in a rational way? Do they say, well, look, find me the dioxin levels in this place, this place, this place, this farm, this farm, this farm? No, that's too expensive. It costs $1,000 each time you do a dioxin sample. It's much simpler for them to say, don't buy milk from within 40 kilometers of an incinerator. And once McDonald's makes that decision, those farmers are crucified. That's what we're talking about. It hasn't happened yet. But you saw part of that $3 billion of damage to the Belgian economy had nothing to do with the actual levels of dioxin in any foodstuff. People simply played safe. They said, I won't buy food from Belgium. That, I think, is the danger that you're confronted with. Now,